Hi! Thanks for being in a new video. I'm very excited because we're going to be unboxing the Tecno Phantom V Fold 2, the new foldable from Tecno, which honestly is doing very interesting things in the innovative devices section. Some time ago it showed a rollable prototype, then it's handling interesting things. And now we're going to get a first-hand look at this technology, which by the way is also compatible with the Phantom V pen, which we'll be testing in a moment. But in this regard it looks very attractive, so let's get started. Its overall launch price has been 1,099 euros, although obviously it may come to vary in other regions, in other stores and more, but it is to get an idea. So join me in taking the contents out of the box. And here we're straight into the foldable that comes with some directions. So let me give you a summary. For starters, it says do not remove the protection that's on the screen. And what we see on most foldables, that you remove any kind of object that's inside the screen before you fold it. In this case, it also says not to press hard on the center part and to keep it away from water or dust. It also says that it is normal to see a mark in the middle of the screen and normal to hear some sounds when you fold or unfold the device, that you don't use it below minus 15 degrees Celsius. And ready then, let's remove all this protection. And here it is with us, the foldable. Notice that its marking is very inconspicuous actually, although it's probably going to increase when we fold this device for the first time. It looks like it's still barely noticeable. Obviously it's going to be noticeable, but we're going to see unlike Samsung's foldable, which is the Galaxy Z Fold 6, which is definitely much more disguised. So it looks good. And here we have the design from the back. Let's take a look at this design and I'll tell you about its specs in a moment. But it looks nice, at least talking about the cover design, because the camera module design personally doesn't look very nice to me. But I'm trying to understand it a little bit because it has 350 megapixel sensors, so that's surely going to result in good photography. But we'll confirm that in a moment. For now, let me get this device turned on, while we see what else is in the box. We found the 70-watt Tecno charger. I think that's pretty good charging power considering we're talking about a foldable. Also, the fact that it includes charger in the box by itself is already a good thing. The included charger is USB-A to USB-C, so it seems to me that it's not that advanced of an experience. I would have liked it better if it was from C to USB-C, so that we would have a little bit more comfortable experience, but it's not that big of a deal. Finally, let's see what's here. Notice that they send a little bit of warranty information and also a case, which is quite surprising. Remember that the holsters on most folding devices include an adhesive backed portion to make sure that this case is going to stay attached to the device. So it's not as easy to remove and put on as you like. In this case, yes, it is a decision that we could consider more permanent. So think it through. Fortunately, it is a case that does have a pretty nice design, so I think in this case I would choose to use this device with a case. Although on the folding ones I almost always just put the holster on the back, because I find the case on the front a little bit more cumbersome. But this is what the device would look like with the holster on. You tell me how you would prefer to use this device, with a case or without a case. Since you notice that this also appears to be a flap, through which we will be able to deploy the device and enjoy a kind of stand, to be able to continue viewing your content. This while protecting the camera, so it doesn't add too much thickness to the device. And finally we find a VIP card. It seems that with NFC. Honestly, I don't know what for. We'll scan it in a moment and see if anything comes out when we bring it close to the cell phone. For now, let me save the rest of the contents of the box, so we can focus on the cell phone. Okay, but before that, let me get out the stylus that comes with this device, because I love that they support this feature. In fact, there are other foldables that also support stylus, but I haven't had a chance to try any of them. Only Samsung's S Pen. So this is the first non-Samsung foldable I've tried with a stylus. Let's take it out of this box. And look, it comes really nice because it comes with this case, which apparently also has an adhesive part on it. I'm not sure where you could stick it on, because there doesn't seem to be any space on the phone to try to stick this case on. Anyway, if you don't want to use the case, you can just use the stylus. which, as you notice, it comes with USB-C. On this part so you can charge it, and it has 2 buttons. And in this case it tells us the indication that you have to charge it before you use it. So let me put this stylus on charge, and in a moment I'll give you the rest of the features and how it works. Notice it comes with a spare tip and a very brief user guide. So now that we've met all the contents of the boxes, let's finally get to know the cell phone. And that's it, I've got the device set up. So we can take a look at its specifications and a quick look at its camera performance as well. I should anticipate you that this is not a flagship foldable, it is a foldable that seeks to have a tight price, without sacrificing too many things, but it does make some sacrifices, so let's get to know it. It is 1.78 millimeters thick, and it weighs 249 grams. It won't be the thinnest or lightest foldable in the industry, but at least if it is thinner than the Galaxy Z Fold 6. Although as of today, I don't think this surprises me that much anymore. I think Samsung got too stagnant. And it has the thickest foldable of all. In this case, it's not that much of a difference, but we did find a thinner foldable, in the case of Tecno. However, Samsung's foldable is still 10 grams lighter. But we have to consider that here we find 3 high-resolution sensors, while in Samsung only 1. In addition, the battery will surprise you in a moment, I tell you. The external display has a diagonal of 6.42 inches. We find Full HD Plus resolution with 120 Hz in its refresh rate, able to adapt automatically. The internal screen is 7.85 inches in its diagonal, with 2K Plus resolution. In addition, it also has 120 Hz in its refresh rate. So these are screens that I believe comply with well. However, note that it does have slightly larger bezels. This device compared to other more modern or more expensive foldable ones. In fact, the external display also has slightly larger bezels than we would like. But on the right side, it comes with a curved finish that also gives it a premium touch. Of course, we will find stereo sound with 2 speakers and Dolby Atmos included. The front camera is 32 megapixels with f2.45 aperture and fixed focus. It actually has 2 front cameras, but both have the same features. The preview still doesn't look that optimized, but the result does note how it makes a perfect balance between highlights and shadows. I think it's a camera that performs well. It even has a very good level of detail. I think it doesn't disappoint. Although it is not a flagship camera because it does not have autofocus. And on the back we find the ultra-wide camera with f2.2 aperture, the main camera with f1.9 aperture, and the telephoto camera with f1.98 aperture. All cameras have a 50 megapixel sensor, and the optical zoom is 2x. So the truth is that it does fall very short in optical zoom. Although as a benefit we have a pretty bright aperture, but it's definitely going to fall very short in the long-range zoom results. We're looking at the result here, where by the way it also tells us that it's a 14mm camera. In this case, the ultra-wide camera honestly doesn't look that attractive to me. Especially note that it generates a bit of chromatic aberration in the most illuminated areas, but we will do a more advanced analysis later. The main camera does not seem so spectacular to me either, due to the color rendition. In this case it seems a bit greenish. It probably struggles in this type of cloudy day environments. But again, in the review we will do a more detailed analysis. The telephoto camera again has a good color rendition, and since it has a good light input, it doesn't suffer too much. Now you are looking at the 5x zoom picture, and the result looks very nice because of the high resolution sensor. Now you're looking at a 10x digital zoom photograph, and I think you're already starting to see a little bit of detail. So I would say 10x is the maximum where it still gives us a good quality zoom. The maximum that this device allows is 20x. But you notice that the level of detail is not that high anymore. So its photographic system falls short in zoom, which is mainly where other foldables also come to suffer. So this, let's say that it does not solve it so much. However, this device does allow us to take portrait photographs, both with the main camera and with the 44mm camera, and since it has a good luminosity, I think that while it will not serve much for zoom, for portraits if it is going to give us a very good quality. And for video recording, note that the maximum quality is 4K at 60 frames per second. And yes, you can use any of the 3 lenses at that resolution. However, the front camera can only record in full HD up to 60 frames per second. But you have to remember that being a foldable, you can press that button and then open the device to use this photographic system and be able to have access to 4K at 60 frames per second in selfie mode. So generally foldables don't usually put such attractive front cameras, because you can use these cameras and take advantage of all their capabilities in a front-facing camera mode as well. This device arrives with iOS 14.5, running on Android 14. So it's got the latest software from Tecno. The battery is tremendous 5750 mAh. So that will be the main focus and the most attractive point of this foldable. Usually foldables of this form factor usually have small batteries. But in this case, it's a tremendous capacity battery, and it stands out that it's even thinner than the Galaxy Z Fold 6, which has a smaller battery. It also supports 70-watt charging with charger included in the box, and it also has 15 watts wireless charging. It also has reverse wireless charging, so it's got everything that we could ask for. And then to wrap things up, we find 12 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage, and its processor is the MediaTek Dimensity 9000 Plus, a processor that is not the most powerful of today. It's not the most recent processor from MediaTek, so in this aspect they have cut budget, but it is still an efficient processor. Here we have the score: 1,318 points on a single core, and 3,894 on multi-core, while in Antutu it scored 1,168,446 points. So while in CPU it does not stand out so much, I think in GPU if it can give a good level of power. For now, this has been all for this video. I hope you liked it. Remember that soon we will have available the review. See you next time.